Mr. Adewale stormed into the house, his face thunderous. Mama Tunde, he bellowed once. Mama Tunde, he roared again. Mama Tunde! From the kitchen, his wife hurried out, wiping her hands on her wrapper. Ah, Ejo, take it easy. You know this temper is not good for your blood pressure. Please, please, what has Tunde done again? What has he done? Mr. Adewale's voice shook with fury. Abi, what has he not done? Bring that boy out if you know where he is. Mama Tunde's voice softened even more. I don't know. I haven't seen him since yesterday. Mr. Adewale dropped heavily into the sofa. That boy dropped out of school after all the money I spent sending him to a private university. Then he said he didn't want to school in Nigeria. I agreed. I arranged for him to school abroad, prepared his visa, accommodation, everything. But since I handed him the visa, he has been roaming about, no longer interested in schooling. I had to give the accommodation to my nephew, that intelligent boy. Mama Tunde sighed. Eh, I know, but what did he do this time? Mr. Adewale's eyes burned. Do you know that boy Tunde sold the property I inherited from my mother's ancestral inheritance that she gave me? Mama Tunde's mouth fell open. Hey! How much does he want that he has not asked from me? Mr. Adewale continued bitterly. My lawyer called me. I called the buyer to return the property, and the man is now demanding almost double what he paid. And the first money Tunde took, till now, he hasn't returned a kobo. Hey! Ewo! Matunde wailed. Tunde has finished us. Oh. It's not shouting we need now, Mr. Adewale snapped. It is to find that boy, bundle him, and lock him in a cell. Far away from home in another state, Tunde was living the high life in a leased Airbnb apartment. He had brought a group of his closest friends to enjoy 2 months of pure fun. Every day was a party, music blasting, bottles popping, date night food orders, flashy clothes. He deliberately chose a different state from his parents so that they wouldn't locate him easily. But after just 12 days, things began to crumble. One morning, Tunde woke up with a pounding headache from the previous night's drink. As he reached for his wallet, he noticed something was off. The thick wad of cash he had been keeping was almost gone. He confronted his friends. Who took my money? He demanded. They all denied it, acting insulted. By the afternoon, one by one, they packed their bags and left, some flying back to their hometowns, others disappearing into the city. This was despite the fact that Tunde had paid for all their flights to get there in the first place. That day, he went out alone to eat at a restaurant. When the bill came, he confidently swiped his card, waiting for the machine to beep declined. His heart sank. He realized that the little money left in that account had been withdrawn earlier, most likely by one of his so-called friends. Luckily, he had another card with a small amount left. He told the waiter, split the bill into 3 parts, and somehow managed to cover it. When he got back to the Airbnb, the silence hit him. No music, no cars to cruise around town, no friends to laugh with, just him and boredom. For days, he stayed in like that, restless and miserable. One hot afternoon, he walked down the street and saw a small POS kiosk. He hesitated, then walked over to the young woman operating it. Please, I want to withdraw, he said. How much? She asked politely. His lips moved nervously. 10,000, he mumbled, unsure if he had that amount left. She tapped on the machine. Should I charge inside? Yes, he replied, handing over his card. Enter your PIN, she said, passing the machine to him. He braced himself for embarrassment, but to his surprise, the transaction went through. Successful, she said, handing him the cash and card. As he walked away, she noticed how he had crossed his fingers while waiting for the machine. She smiled to herself. She understood. That day, Tunde took the 10,000 naira to a classy restaurant and bought a plate of spaghetti. The next day, hunger drove him back to the kiosk. Same amount, he told her. This time, the machine beeped, declined. Tunde sighed and asked, Can I sit down for a bit? Sure, she said. Please, can I at least have some water to drink? He asked. I saw pills, as she replied with a smile. But you can have it for free. Tunde almost refused, pride biting at him. But then he remembered he had nothing back at the apartment except 4 shirts and trousers. He accepted the water gratefully. They began to chat, but midway through the conversation, he had a sudden thought. My phone is still worth something. Do you know where I can sell a phone? He asked. She gave him directions to a nearby shop. Tunde rushed there and struck a deal with a man who agreed to pay instantly via transfer. After handing over the phone, the man sent what looked like a payment confirmation. Tunde didn't check the balance. He had no phone now anyway. He went straight back to the kiosk. Please withdraw 200,000 from me, he said confidently. The young woman looked surprised. 200,000 naira. But just an hour ago you had nothing. She decided to keep quiet and processed it. Decline. Insufficient funds. What? Tunde's eyes widened. Check my balance. She did. Still the same. 00 naira. 00 kobo. Reality hit him. He had been scammed. He rushed back to the phone buyer's place, but the shop was gone. In shock, he walked back to the kiosk and quietly asked, Please, can I have another water? She gave it to him without question. As he sipped, he told her the story. All of it. Her name was Adiola. Out of kindness, she bought him a plate of food from the small local restaurant nearby. When Tunde tasted it, he was shocked. You mean this food is 1,200 naira? And it tastes better than the one I bought the other day for almost 10,000 naira. Wow. They laughed. Over time, they talked more. Tunde learned that Adiola was an orphan raised by an elderly woman named Mrs. Bimbo, who took her in as her own. They didn't have much money, but they had love. And Mrs. Bimbo had taught her to love God and live honestly. It was a world so different from Tunde's, but he began to open his eyes. The next day, Tunde was so hungry, he considered going to Adiola's kiosk again. By evening, the hunger was unbearable, so he went. Adiola quietly bought him food. Thank you, he said. Is there something I can be doing so I can at least afford my own food for now? First, tell me why you are here and stranded, she said. Tunde explained everything. The parties, the money, the scam. She listened and shook her head. What she did was bad. But all right, I'll help you. Tomorrow, come early. There's a bakery where Mama Bimbo, the woman who raised me, buys bread to sell. You can work there daily, get paid, and they will also give you a small loaf of bread. The next morning, Adiola took him there. She spoke to the manager, who agreed to give him a chance. Tunde started working. Over time, he would pass by Adiola's kiosk after work, and their conversation shifted. She began talking to him about God. On Sundays, he followed her to church. Mrs. Bimbo grew fond of him, and whenever she bought food for Adiola, she included his portion too. Life became smoother. 2 months passed quickly. The Airbnb lease was expiring, and today knew his parents, even in their anger, would be looking for him. This was the longest he had stayed away. He told Adiola and Mrs. Bimbo he was leaving. At the bakery, he resigned, using part of his pay to buy his bus ticket home. When he arrived, his parents tried to act tough, ignoring him. He didn't ask where he had been, afraid that too much reaction might make him disappear again. Tunde wore a humble expression. Daddy, Mommy, I'm sorry for selling the land, he said. They stayed silent. The next morning he woke early, dressed in the one corporate outfit he owned, and waited by his father's car. When Mr. Adewale came out, he was surprised. Why do you want to follow me? Or is it so you can size up the land and forge documents to sell it later? No, sir, Tunde replied. Henceforth, I want to work with you on the farm and in your other businesses. Also, I want to return to school if you will help me. His father didn't have time to respond. He was late for a meeting, but he noted the change in tone. Weeks passed and his parents began to notice. Mr. Adewale said one evening, Why has it changed so much? I gave him allowance today and expected him to go partying. He just thanked me and kept it. Mama Tunde added, Do you know he goes to church now? On Sundays and Wednesdays, and there's this girl he talks to. She's polite, even washes his own clothes and helps the workers. He decided it was time to acknowledge his progress. When they spoke to him, Tunde told them everything, how Adiola and Mama Bimbo had been kind to him, how he had worked at the bakery, and how Adiola was saving to go to the university. His parents were impressed. If that's the case, Mr. Adewale said, call her and tell her she has just won a scholarship to study abroad. As she returned to school, she will too. Tunde was overjoyed. And Mama Bimbo, he continued, tell her she now has a job as one of the farm managers, with accommodation and a good pay. Without delay, Tunde called Adiola and Mama Bimbo. After the arrangements, a few months later, Adiola and Tunde left to school abroad, while Mama Bimbo worked as a farm manager at the farm. It was the start of a new chapter for all three of them.